So we are here at the Cheech, named after Senor Cheech right here. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you very much, brother.
It's been a year since you've opened this. I just was explaining that I get emotional walking into this space because you feel the intensity and the artistry immediately when you walk in.
I think this one was meant to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's just meant to happen. And everybody I tell that to, they feel the same way. It's just meant to happen.
Yeah. And obviously, it took a while to get to a place where you can have your name on a museum. So
well, I got that in there right away.
Okay.
When they said, I said, well, what should we call this? I says, well, they have the Broad. Why don't we call it the Cheech? And everybody got caught up in the moment. Yeah, the Cheech. Next thing, the sign was out there, it glows in the dark.
Oh yeah, it's big. They can't take it down now. So But obviously, you've been collecting for a long time. So I'm curious to know, take it all the way back, because this is before social media. This is before Instagram. These artists were mostly unknown when you started collecting. So how did you get involved in Chicano art?
I stumbled upon it really because I was starting to. I collected something all my life. I was one of those kids, that collected marbles and baseball cards and buttons and whatever, And then at a younger age, I started learning about art, because I had this group of cousins that were really. We were smart kids and went to Catholic school, Catholic education, liberal arts, and we decided we're going to have basically the equivalent of AP classes, and I got assigned art.
Yeah.
And so, well, how do you learn about it? I don't know. So I went to the library, started taking all the art books, and then I started going to museums. And so from a young age, I think I was around 11 when that started. So from that point on, art was a very big part of my life, So when I finally got into the Chicano artists, my art knowledge kind of stopped at modern art, and I knew nothing about contemporary art. I knew names, but I didn't really. And so I was married to a painter at the same time, and she started taking me to contemporary galleries, and that's where I first started seeing the Chicano artists. And I go, why? I understood what they were doing, because they were Mexican but international, but they weren't really Mexican. There was some other kind of Mexican, And so I understand this. It was like hearing the Beatles for the first time. Oh, they're doing Elvis and Jerry Lee Lewis and Carl Perkins and all, but they're English,
Yeah, it's their own thing.
And their own thing. It sounded different, same but different,
Yeah.
And I said, that's what these guys are doing. They're the Beatles, And so I said, so I had money to collect, which is important. And then I realized what the art was, and I had a celebrity in order to proselytize for it,
Yes.
Perfect storm. So I started collecting, and there was a lot of Chicano art available because nobody was collecting it on that scale.
Yeah.
People would buy a piece here, a piece there, but no, this I'm just going to buy this.
Yeah.
So it worked out from then.
Okay, and so you went to galleries, and then obviously started meeting these artists and forming personal relationships with them.
With them, yeah.
And how do you think that, over time, your relationships with them, how has that affected your life personally?
I've made a lot of new friends, So I've friends. I know every single one of these artists. Personally, I spend time with them, and I see a lot of their work, and they have an ongoing conversation with them. They send me works in progress, So okay. But they understood that I understood what they were doing. And that's really important. That's what's most important in it, because you can be a guy that
that establishes trust too.
Yeah. So they give you a good price on the paintings, and but I'll buy more. And so they get that part, because it's a tough way to make a living being a painter.
Oh yeah. Very tough.
It's very tough. It's like being an actor. It's tough too.
Yeah, and it requires a little bit of luck sometimes too.
It's all luck.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not all luck.
Yeah.
And luck is, they classify it as dumb luck, but you get struck by dumb luck by standing in the middle of the intersection, waving your arms with a fluorescent suit, man. Me, here, I'm here.
Pick me.
Pick me. That's what it is.
Okay, and the images, even just in this room that we see, a lot of it has to do with representation.
Yeah.
I think representation is very important, more important than ever.
Absolutely.
Because with Black Lives Matter and this whole sort of cultural awakening that's happening, Latinos have been able to also kind of take our stand a little bit, a little bit stronger, and people are listening a little bit more. What do you think this is doing for representation, and how do you think it can affect future generations?
I think it is affecting representation more than any other aspect of Chicano could before. They've had other collections that have toured or being a part of. Chicanos were a part of a larger Hispanic collection.
Yeah.
But this is the first Chicano museum, and it's spreading all over. Every day, I was talking before, somebody comes up every day. I went to your museum. I took my whole family. I'm bringing everybody I know. I was on a plane to New York the other day, and some guy sitting next to me. Oh, I went to your museum. I was like, wow, this stuff is spreading, man.
It's spreading.
It's contagious.
It's totally. I mean, it's same with music. Latino, we're infiltrating all parts of the general market right now. People are singing. They're rapping Bad Bunny in Spanish. I see white guys in their Hondas rapping Bad Bunny.
Isn't that cool?
And I'm like, this is cool, man.
And everybody understands it gets international. So we're in the process of doing that now. I want to kind of not only establish this as a tourist destination internationally, but understanding of the art internationally. And it's starting to come, but
I think so.
It has to start someplace.
It's got to start somewhere. And speaking of that, why here? I mean, I heard the LACMA was interested in working with you. I'm sure you've had other offers. How did this come to be in this space in Riverside?
They came to me.
Okay.
And that never happens. Never ever.
Especially with Latinos and marginalized communities, it's always like, please let me get my foot in the
Exactly.
door.
Put this one little one in the corner, a snapshot. And no, they came. I did a show at the Riverside Art Museum, which is down the block, and it was Works on Paper, and it was the biggest show they ever had, attendance-wise, because everybody in the community came. Oh man, Chicano art! I'm going to say that, and so they this building. They had to repurpose. It was a town library, and they were going to build a new Jetsons library down the street. So they had to repurpose the building, and they had been down the street with a bunch of different entities, and they were going to actually knock it down at some point. And so the city manager, he came up with this idea of offering it to me for the collection. And I didn't understand what he was saying. You want me to buy a museum? I don't know if that's going to work. No, he wanted to give you the museum for the art. You give us the collection, we'll give you the museum, and it'll be housed. And in retrospect, you think of, this is an impossible thing to happen, because what museum is going to be able to take a collection of this size and make it the only thing in the museum, and give you the building? None. None is not going to happen. And against all odds, it did. And so, and I knew the community would be behind it, because it was a Chicano community.
Of course.
And so I said, I just leapt off the cliff. Okay, because you have to. People don't understand this. A lot of people. You have to give them the art.
Right.
It belongs to them now. When you give it to them, it doesn't belong to you anymore. You can't say, I'm mad at you, I'm going to take my art back. No, it has. You give it to them, and it's like your kids.
And it's vulnerable,
It's like,
how are they going to feel?
It's
a waiting game.
Are they going to treat it well? Are they going to feed them? And so I just trusted that it would turn out well, and it did. It did. Like last year, we were voted one of the top 50 shows in the world last year, and that's
pretty good for only open
6 months at that point.
Okay.
And this year, we just recently got awarded this medal for Museum and Library Association, and it's only, I think, 10 of them given out ever, and we were one of them now. So, and the city came to me. okay, I know this never happened.
That's a miracle.
Yeah, it is a miracle.
That's a miracle.
Yeah,
But it's real.
Yeah, but here we are. And it's cool, man.
It's really,
it's
glad
really
you said
cool,
that. It is really cool.
It is. I'm just so proud of this one.
I haven't even been upstairs. I gotta go upstairs.
Oh, that's a killer show.
Yeah, I gotta go upstairs. We talked a little about how we feel when we walk in here. What do you want people to feel when they walk into a space like this?
Well, it's like they're coming home. You know, like there's a home aspect of this, that this is about me, about the people in my neighborhood, about how my neighborhood looks like, about our aspirations and our dreams and our crazy dreams, you know, all those things, but from a Chicano perspective, which had never been told before in one building. You know, you always were a little part of some other show.
Yeah.
You know, marginalized artist. Okay, hey, we're marginalized.
Little handout here and there. But this is like, you know, and they came to me and offered, like, okay, you know, I felt like it was like, you know, the Wizard of Oz, that picture where the house is falling out of the sky, and I said, if I stand here on this X, the house is going to follow me. Okay, brace for impact. You know, except it's a museum, not a house.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, okay. But we're going to keep growing it from here. This is the first year.
Yeah.
This is just the start of it. We're going to have a lot of other stuff going on in here. We're going to have a print atelier. And I'm turning the whole basement into a print atelier.
Okay.
So we're going to, like a self-help graphics, we're going to have that here. We're going to have a film department. Robert Rodriguez is going to come down to head the film department and do that. And we're just going to keep going. And establish. Eventually, I want to start a lowrider museum here. And every time I mention that in a crowd,
people go nuts.
I mean, that's a.
You see Lala behind the camera. He's for it,
you know, and I tell everybody, and now they're starting to believe that I know what I'm doing.
Oh yeah.
They're starting to believe. So the mayor and the city planner. Well, you can do this here. Okay, because they see this works, man. I mean, their wildest dreams that we would do 100,000 people in the first year. That was their wild. You'll never do it, but we did 130,000 people this year, man. And it's like, you know, for a first year museum in Riverside.
A lot of it's just word of mouth too.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and the people on a plane. I went to your museum. Okay, cool. Come back again. We brought our whole family. We're gonna bring our grandkids. We'll tell everybody. You know.
And it's important too for other cultures besides Latinos, besides Chicanos, to see this work as well. You know? So I think it's great that you have diverse community coming to a place like this where they get a sense of like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that reminds me of the barbecues I had when I was, you know what I mean? You find those cultural connections, and then it brings you together. Because ultimately, that's what we're trying to do. This
is a unique opportunity in Riverside because it's 52% Chicano who identifies as Chicano, and Inland Empire same numbers, and so it was a perfect spot to put this in, man. Everybody kind of gets along, you know, for a long time. And so, okay, this is perfect. You know? So I mean, you really have to trust your instinct at that point because you're going to give away your collection.
And you get to show it to the world.
But that's the other part that makes it worth it.
That's the coolest thing.
That's the part that makes it worthwhile.
You're not just giving it to anyone. It's that, like you said, it's your children. They're going to college, and everyone's like, okay.
That's what I used to feel like when I did the first tour. We did Chicano Visions, and we did 14 major institutions in 7 years.
That's the cover of the book, right?
Yeah, that's the cover of the book. It's Patsy Valdez, little girl in yellow dress.
Oh yeah.
So to give you an idea of how neglected it was when she did the show with these paintings, this one in it, and some others at Cal State Northridge. And she sent me the catalog, and I looked at it, and then I went away to work, and I came back and I said, Patsy, you still have any of these pets? Yeah, I got all of them. And so I said, what? Sold? Did none of them sold? No, none of them sold. So I'm going to buy some. So I bought this one. So, you know, one of the most iconic things never got a look. You're like, okay, well, you need a champion here, man. And so that's what I became.
Now the world's seeing it.
Yeah, that's a wonderful painting.
Great.
It's like, There's so much meaning in that painting.
Oh yeah. Before we go, obviously, you were close to my dad.
Yes, I was.
Also, yeah.
Your dad was a hero of mine. He really was. You know, he was. I asked him when I was first starting to collect and buying from some dealers. I said, well, who else is collecting this art? And I realized, well, there's this one guy, Walter Uyoya, and so who is he? He has Entravision. I go, okay, well, I want to meet this Walter Uyoya, and that's what happened, really, from the very beginning.
Wow.
I met him. Hey, how you? Oh, this is good. You got a John Valadez painting, huh? And so we became friends, but he became a big supporter.
Yeah.
Right from the very beginning, and not like. He had the same idea that I did. This is part of the community, you know, and that it should be turned back and should be supported. And that's how he was from the very beginning. And I always used to count on him for either to show up or contribute or to do something, participate, you know.
Yeah.
And he was a very important man to do that, you know.
He always showed up.
He always showed up. It's like, he came to my house one time. We had a party, and I was going to announce that we were going to be shown by LACMA.
Oh, wow.
That was going to be the end show, which didn't happen until later the end. But everybody, and he was there, and I could see everybody beaming in the living room when I was telling this news. But your father especially, and it was like, it's validation. You know,
of course.
It really is validation at the end.
And this, he cared so much about this, the same way we do, like about being seen in this way that represents us accurately as who we are, and not stereotyped and not pandering, and so to be seen in this setting, I know wherever he is, he's very happy.
Well, he's looking down on us.
He is, and he spoke so highly of you every time he spoke of you. And, he was so excited.
He was a good guy, and you knew his heart was in the right place. You know, and his collection was great. You know, so we counted on that. He was a real supporter. I really admired your dad a lot.
Well, he did. He admired you as well, and this is an amazing success story in many ways.
In many ways.
Many ways.
It's something that really the community is invested in now. It's just, we're from Riverside, and that's the home of the Cheech. You just hear that a lot, you know, so cool.
All right, well, from Riverside, home of the Cheech, Cheech and I are gonna look at some art.
Peace.